What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to give you guys my top sleeper picks for this year's March Madness bracket, and the way we are going to do it is we are going to go seed by seed from the 5 seed down to the 16 seed, and I'm going to give you guys my favorite team to make a run from each of those seed lines. In my opinion, those are considered sleepers to make it to the Sweet 16 or possibly even further. So I'm ready to get it started. I just want to say subscribe if you guys are new. Hit that like button if you guys enjoy. First up, we got the 5 seeds, and the 5 seeds are always tricky, especially this year because the 12 seeds are they've been there before. Ian Shefflin's been there before last year as well. They made it to the Elite 8 last season, and I think that they can get back there again. They are going to have to survive McNeese, but if they can get out of that round, they are going to have either Purdue or High Point, both of those teams. I do feel like Clemson can get by, and then they are looking at a Sweet 16 opponent of either Houston, Gonzaga, or Georgia, which I feel like Clemson has a chance in all of those matchups. Houston's going to be a little bit tough, but I think that Clemson has a path to definitely the Sweet 16 at least, and possibly even further. And if they can get past the Houston at the Sweet 16, they could go all the way to the Final Four for the first time ever this year. Clemson is my top sleeper pick for the 5 line. Next up, at the 6 line, I'm going over to the East region, and I'm going to go with the BYU Cougars. You guys might have saw this one coming if you guys watched my March Madness predictions. I do have BYU in the Elite 8. This is a tough one because they are kind of in a 50-50 matchup in the first round with VCU. That is going to be a very tough matchup, and I definitely did think about some other teams like Missouri, but they're just really cold entering the tournament. I'm not very high on Illinois or Ole Miss, so it was definitely between BYU or Missouri. I decided to go with BYU. If they can get past some tough teams, like it's most likely going to be Wisconsin in the second round, and that's if they can get past VCU, and then a potential Alabama matchup in the Sweet 16. It is not going to be an easy path whatsoever, but I do feel like BYU has a very good offense who can shoot the ball very well. They have some defensive anchors down low, good rebounding, and they're pretty well coached. I know it's a first-year head coach in Kevin Young, but he is a very good head coach, and I feel like even though they have a really rough path, I think that they are the best 6 seed in this tournament and the hottest 6 seed entering the tournament. Now at the 7 line, we are heading over to the East region, and I am going to go with the St. Mary's Gales. You guys know I am a Gale respecter, and I do think that they are a sleeper team at that 7 line. I do favor them over that matchup against Vanderbilt. Again, this could really come back and age like milk if Vanderbilt and VCU and McNeese all win round 1, which is honestly very possible. But St. Mary's, there is a path there in the East region, the same region as BYU. I do think Alabama without Grant Nelson is a beatable team, especially for a team like St. Mary's who plays a slow-paced defensive game. And I think this is the best St. Mary's team we've seen in the past few years. Last year, they lost in the first round to Grand Canyon. The year before that, they did win in round 1, but they have been struggling to get to the Sweet 16 really in a little while. So I think that this is the year they could possibly get back there. They have a really good team, and if they can play Alabama, control the pace, and Alabama's missing their three-pointers, St. Mary's could definitely win that game, and after that, they have potential to get to the Elite 8. At the 8 line, I had to do it. I had to go over to the South region, and I know that I did pick Gonzaga in my Final Four as an 8 seed. I do really like them a lot as a potential team to make a run, but I wanted to change it up a little bit, and I had to give it to this team because they are so severely underseeded, and that is the Louisville Cardinals in the South region. They are just too good to be an 8 seed, and even though they are playing the top overall seed in the second round, if they can get past Creighton, I still have to like them as my favorite potential team to make a run, because if they can get past Creighton and Auburn in the first 2 rounds, who's to say Louisville won't be in the Final Four this year? If they can beat Auburn, they can beat anyone in that region, and they have to be my favorites at the 8 line right now because they should have been a 6 or a 5. Next up at the 9 line, we are heading across to the East region, and I decided to go with the Baylor Bears, and this is purely because of the talent on this team. They are a super talented team and way too talented to be a 9 seed. They disappointed this year. They should have been a much higher seed with the talent that is on this roster. The big question mark with this team is going to be their defense, which is not good, but they do have veteran players like Jeremy Roach, Norchad Omier, both of which have played in a Final Four before, and if they can get past Mississippi State in the first round, they're setting up a matchup with Duke in the second round where that experience is going to pay big dividends against a very young Duke team. I'm not saying that they will beat Duke, but all I'm saying is Jeremy Roach, could that be a revenge game playing against his former team? That could be very fun. VJ Edgecombe versus Cooper Flagg, two of the top NBA prospects going at it, two of the top freshmen in the country. That would be a very fun matchup. And it, again, similar to Louisville, if Baylor can get past the 1 seed in the second round, who's to say they couldn't make a nice deep run? Next, at the 10 line, we are out at the Mountain West this year in the New Mexico Lobos. New Mexico is a really good team that has a super good point guard, and this is a tricky one because they kind of have a hard path. They got to get past Marquette in the first round, which is a very 50-50 type of matchup. And then in the second round, they'll have to play Coach Izzo in the round of 32, which historically doesn't go good for the other team. But I think that Donovan Dent would be the best player on the court for that game in the second round against Michigan State. And if they can get past them, they're already in the Sweet 16. They could definitely make it to the Elite 8 out of the bottom half of that bracket and make a nice little push. But the main reason I am going with New Mexico is not necessarily because of their path, but more so because I do think it is the best team on the 10 line. Next, at the 11 line, I was really between two teams right here. I was heavily thinking about going with VCU, but since I went with BYU earlier for the 6 line, I went with my other favorite 11 seed, and that is going to be the Drake Bulldogs. Drake, you guys know I had them in my Elite 8. I really do love the defense that is on this team, the shooters that are on this team, and Bennett Sturtz, who is an elite player in college basketball who could really make a name for himself in this tournament if he can go off. And if he is, and the defense is playing the best that they can, they have a top defense, man, and they could make a nice push to the Sweet 16. I really like both of their potential first and second round matchups between Missouri and then Texas Tech, which are very high-powered offensive teams. If Drake can control the pace in the first weekend, slow the game down, and Bennett Sturtz hits some big shots, I think Drake will be in the Sweet 16. So Drake is going to be my favorite sleeper at the 11 line. Next, at number 12, I had to do it. I had to pick UC San Diego, and this is a tough one because I love this UC San Diego team so much, but they have become America's most popular 12 over 5 this season, which historically, at least over the past couple of years, you know, McNeese last year was this team. America's favorite 12 over 5 does not end up winning. So I worry for the Tritons. This is their first ever March Madness appearance. It is their first year they are eligible to make the NCAA tournament, and I want to see them pull that upset over Michigan. I hope it happens. I do think that they are the best team at the 12 line. They are super good out of the Big West Conference. 30 wins on the year. They have a lot of really good shooters. Tate Jones is super good. Tyler McKee is a really good shooter. Hayden Gray is another one who can get it done. They force turnovers, which is a good matchup against Michigan. The only question mark is Michigan is very good in close games. I do believe that this is going to be a close game. Dusty May closes out games. You can't say anything about that man's coaching. He is super, super good. But if UC San Diego is forcing turnovers and hitting threes, they will beat Michigan. Next, at the 13 line, I had to do it. Again, this is probably America's favorite 13 over 4 upset this year, but I had to do it. It is High Point, and High Point just has one of the best offenses in the mid-majors. In all of Division I, they have a top 25 offense, and that's saying something, you know, for a team like High Point. They are super good, and they have super good players like Bobby Pettiford and also Keza Griffa, who can put up some points on this Purdue team, who has really been struggling on defense as of late. I do worry about High Point's defense, though. Is High Point going to be able to stop this Purdue team, who actually does have some good shooters, and Braden Smith, who is one of the best facilitating point guards in the entire country? It is going to be tough, but High Point, they are going to have to put up a ton of points. I think they will, but the only thing is, will Purdue also be putting up a ton of points and outscore the Panthers in this one? But nonetheless, they have to be my top 13 seed. My top sleeper for a 14 seed, I did have to go with Lipscomb. And the Lipscomb Bison are a very interesting team. They have been very consistent this year, and they drew Iowa State in the first round. And I do have Iowa State in my Final Four, so I kind of hope this doesn't happen, but at the same time, whenever it comes to big-time upsets, I'm not going to have a perfect bracket anyway, so I would rather root for the upset either way rather than rooting for my bracket. So I would love to see a Lipscomb upset, and Iowa State is without Keyshawn Gilbert, which is causing a lot of people to go with Lipscomb in this pick. I do think we probably will see a 14/3 at least this year, if not a 15/2. These things have been happening every single season in March Madness lately, so it would not surprise me whatsoever. We'll at least get a 14/3. Will it be Lipscomb? I'm not sure, but I think they do have the best matchup in the first round to pull off the upset. Next at the 15 line, I decided to go with Wofford. I mean, Wofford is a team that you watch them play out of the SoCon. They looked really good. They were shooting the ball lights out in the SoCon championship game against Furman. Both teams were shooting above 50% from three in that game, and they were putting them up at a high clip. So that is really saying something. They have two guys with the last name Bailey on their team, and they shoot the ball lights out. Their center shoots granny-style free throws. They have all the makings of a 15 seed to just become America's team and become the next St. Peter's. Now, I don't necessarily love the matchup against Tennessee, but honestly, I wouldn't love the matchup against any of this year's 2 seeds. They are very strong this year, but they seem like that every year. I think if we do see a 15/2, I would have to go with Wofford over Tennessee. Out of that SoCon League, we have also seen teams like Samford almost pull off an upset over Kansas last year. They should have won that game. The year before that, we've seen Furman be able to upset Virginia on that last-second turnover and big-time 3. And then after the year before that, we saw Chattanooga almost beat Illinois as well. So that league has been very dangerous lately, so look out for Wofford. And finally, at the 16 line, I don't think that we will see the third ever 16/1 this year, although I would like to see that. I don't think it will happen, but I do have to go with Norfolk State. I don't think that they are going to beat Florida. I don't think it is necessarily the easiest 1 seed to beat by no means whatsoever, but this is purely off of I do think Norfolk State is the best 16 seed this season, and I honestly expected them to be a 15 seed over a team like Bryant. So I think they deserve the 15 seed, which is the main reason I am going with Norfolk State. Like I said, I don't think we're going to see any 16/1s this year, and Norfolk State, in my opinion, is the best team of the 16s. But that is going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know if there is a sleeper team that you're picking in your bracket that I did not mention in this video. And yeah, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching.